Recording started. Timestamp A800 hours, Terra Standard, case file 40k10. Subject: The Leagues of Votann, 10th edition Codex, February 2026 update. Scribe, verify the audio levels.
Levels are optimal, Senior Auditor.
Good. I don't want to repeat this. The recap is already cold. And the error cyclers in this office are making that infernal rattling sound again.
Apologies, Auditor.
It sounds like a dying servitor trying to choke down a bolt shell.
The ventilation maintenance request is still pending approval from the Administratum. It seems the request form was filed on the wrong color parchment.
The wrong color parchment. Let me guess.
We use bone white when the current regulation requires pale nimina.
Of course it was. Pale nimina. Bureaucracy protecting its own incompetence, which, coincidentally is the exact theme of today's audit.
Indeed, Auditor.
Citizens, listeners, taxpayers of the Imperium, welcome to the audit. You might be expecting the usual propaganda today. Maybe you're looking for a deep dive that tells you how to be a hero, how to paint your little space dwarves, how to have fun.
A common objective for hobbyists.
I know the other channels. They tell you, oh, look at the cool railgun, look at the shiny armor, look at the distinct lack of noses. If you want fun, go play the orcs. If you want heroism, go buy another Space Marine lieutenant. You are here because you want to see the ledger.
We are here to analyze the data.
And I'm telling you right now, slam the file shut on your optimism.
Sir, the introduction protocol requires a summary of the source material. We are reviewing the Leagues of Votann 10th edition Codex, the Munitorum Field Manual 2026, and the tactical analysis titled Heraclius Decline.
It's not a codex, Scribe. It's a crime scene, a financial crime scene. I've spent the last 48 hours combing through these rules, these desperate attempts to balance a checkbook in the middle of a firefight.
It is a complex rule set.
And I have found a red line item, a mathematical impossibility buried at the bottom of the datasheet that guarantees, and I mean guarantees insolvency by turn 3. This isn't an army, it's a Ponzi scheme with guns.
A Ponzi scheme auditor.
Yeah.
That is a strong accusation.
It's a fraudulent investment operation, Scribe. They promise you durability. They promise you high-tech firepower. But you pay for it with a currency you don't have. Time.
An interesting hypothesis.
It's not a hypothesis, it's a conclusion. We are going to conduct a full forensic audit of this disaster. We're going to look at the currency trap, the geometric failure, and the absolute administrative nightmare they call a command phase.
A comprehensive review.
But first, Scribe, tell the citizens what they need to do before I expose this horror show.
Please pay your tithes. Like and subscribe to the frequency. The auditor requires compliance.
And what happens if they don't comply?
Failure to interact with the algorithm may result in a reactive audit of your personal viewing history.
Good. Now, open the ledger. Section 1, the currency trap.
Opening file, yield points and resource management. The core army mechanic.
This is where the scam begins. The army rule. Usually, an army rule gives you a bonus, a gift, something to help you win the war.
A faction-defining ability.
But the Votann, they got a job. They got a shift at the Manufactorum. Read the rule for prioritized efficiency. Read it slowly. I want everyone to hear the chains rattling.
Acknowledged. The mechanic centers on the accumulation expenditure of yield points, or YP.
YP. Sounds like a stock ticker symbol for a failing corporation. Go on.
Generating YP. You gain 1 YP at the end of your command phase for holding an objective in your deployment zone.
1 point. Your home base. Okay.
From Battle Round 2 onwards, you can earn up to 4 additional YP per turn by holding mid-board objectives or by holding more objectives than your opponent.
Stop. Stop right there. Let's unpack that immediately. Prioritize efficiency. It sounds lovely, doesn't it? It sounds like something a middle manager came up with to justify firing half the workforce.
It does have a corporate lexicon.
But look at the mechanism. You earn currency for holding ground. Okay, standard tactical protocol, nothing new there.
Yeah.
But let's look at the volatility of that income. You get just one YP for your home objective.
That is the baseline income.
That's your salary. That's minimum wage. It pays the rent on your deployment zone, and that's it. But to actually make money, to get those 4 YP required to actually function, you have to be out in the middle of the board.
Correct. You must hold mid-board objectives to maximize revenue.
And who is waiting for you in the middle of the board, Scribe? Remind the listeners.
According to current meta-analysis, world eaters, Tyranid swarms, space marine aggressors, or perhaps a Cetan shard.
Exactly. Monsters, demigods, berserkers with axes the size of your torso. So to earn your paycheck, you have to walk your slow, short-legged infantry into a meat grinder.
It is a high-risk, high-reward area.
And if you get pushed off, if the World Eaters turn your kin into sushi, what happens then? It's not just the models you lose, is it?
No, you also lose control of the objective.
Which means you lose your income.
Yeah.
You lose the ability to use your army rule. It's a double punishment. It's a garnish on your wages because you died on the job.
A cascading failure state.
You said it. But let's be generous. Let's assume you get the points. You survived the commute to the midboard. What do you do with this currency? What are these wonderful things you can buy?
There are thresholds, Auditor. If you have less than 7 yield points, you are in a state of hostile acquisition.
Hostile acquisition. Listen to that corporate speak. I swear, the person who wrote this codex wasn't a general. He was a hedge fund manager who got lost in the warp.
In this state below 7 YP, you gain +1 to hit against enemy units on objectives.
Only on objective.
And you can re-roll advance and charge rolls.
Okay, so if you are poor, if your bank account is empty, the army rule kicks in to help you get less poor. You get a bonus to hit enemies on objectives. You are chasing them. You are desperate.
It is an aggressive stance.
You are filing a hostile takeover bid because you don't own the company. You are trying to claw your way back into the game. It is a mechanic designed for losers.
Yeah.
It rewards you for not having the objectives in the first place.
It incentivizes aggression to regain control of the board.
It incentivizes desperation. It forces you to throw good money after bad, to charge into a fight you're probably not ready for because the game is telling you that's the only way to get your economy working.
A difficult position.
Now contrast this. What happens if you actually save your money? What happens if you are a good little saver, you stack your pennies, and you hoard your yield points? What's the reward for fiscal responsibility?
If you accumulate 7 or more yield points, you enter Fortify Takeover.
Another buzzword. What does it do?
In this state, you gain +1 to hit while you are on an objective.
Ah, so now you're better at defending what you already have. Makes sense.
And critically, you gain -1 to wound if the incoming attack's strength is higher than your unit's toughness.
And there it is. There's the trap, the liquidity trap. To get the defensive buff, the thing that keeps your expensive, slow dwarven bodies alive, you have to hoard 7 points of currency.
Yes, 7 YP is the threshold.
But to get the offensive buff, the reroll charges to actually get onto the objective in the first place, you need to be broke.
The two states are mutually exclusive.
It's a toggle switch. You cannot be aggressive and safe at the same time. You have to choose. Do I want to try and kill the enemy, or do I want to try and survive the enemy's next shooting phase? You can't do both.
It creates a tactical loop, Auditor. A decision point.
It's not a tactical loop, Scribe. It's a debt spiral.
A debt spiral.
Yes, think about it. You're in a war zone. Bullets are flying. A Tyranid swarm is eating your face. And the Votann commander has to stop and check his bank balance. Oh, I'm sorry, squad leader. We can't afford to reinforce your armor plating today because we spent our quarterly budget on a charge reroll last turn. It's permission-based warfare.
Permission-based? I am not familiar with the term.
You have to ask for permission from your own bank account to fight effectively. Look at the Space Marines. What is their army rule? Oath of moment. They point at a guy and say, I hate you specifically, and then they re-roll everything.
It's very direct.
It is active. It is immediate. It is a grant of execution. It is a blank check from the Bank of Murder. The Tau, they use marker lights. I see you, I mark you, I shoot you. Proactive.
Also a proactive system.
But the Votann, they are reactive. They are waiting for the quarter to close to see if they can afford to shoot at ballistic skill 3+A's. They have to wait for their paycheck to clear before they can aim properly.
To clarify, the baseline ballistic skill is 4+S, Auditor.
Exactly, 4+S. That is the standard of a guardsman who has had 3 weeks of training and a bad hangover. These are supposed to be ancient clones engineered for war, wearing power armor that costs more than a planetary governor's palace.
Their war gear is noted as being of masterwork quality.
And they shoot like conscripts unless they pay a tax. They are buying their own ballistic skill back from their own rulebook. It is gloss brain nonsense. You are starting at a deficit. You are paying a subscription fee to your own gun.
The analysis compares this to space accountants, Auditor, managing a recession.
They are space accountants. It's not a comparison, it's a diagnosis. And they even hired one. Read the file on the new character unit. The Arcanist Evaluator.
The Arcanist Evaluator,
Yeah.
a new character unit, quote, an auditor hero who generates extra yield points when nearby enemies are destroyed, end quote.
I I honestly thought this was a joke when I first read it. I had to check the file twice. They sent a tax collector to the front lines, a literal auditor.
A support character?
His heroic ability isn't inspiring courage. It isn't calling down an orbital strike. It is counting bodies so he can file a tax rebate. Good kill, soldier. That's a 0.5 YP deduction on our capital gains tax for this fiscal quarter. It's absurd.
It does seem unusually bureaucratic for a battlefield role.
It implies the economy of the army is so bad, so fragile, that you need a specialist just to cook the books in the middle of a firefight. It's an admission of failure baked right into the unit roster.
But strictly speaking, Auditor, doesn't the extra YP allow for more stratagem usage? Or a faster transition to the fortified takeover state?
It allows you to tread water, Scribe. That's the trap. That is the entire point. Let's run a scenario. You're getting shot at. You're sitting on, say, 8 YP. You're feeling good. You've got your -1 to wound.
A stable fiscal position.
But a big gun is pointing at your prize unit.
Yeah.
You need to use a stratagem to survive, maybe void armor or whatever they're calling it this week. That stratagem costs command points. But to get the full effect, the really good part, you probably need to spend, what, 2 or 3 YP2?
Correct. Many stratagems have enhanced effects unlocked with YP.
So you do it. You spend the YP. Your unit survives, great. But now your balance drops from 8 to 5. What happens now?
You fall below the 7 YP threshold. You lose the fortified takeover bonus.
And what does that mean for the rest of your army?
They lose the -1 to wound buff.
Exactly. You spent money to save 1 unit, and in doing so, you crash your entire army's economy and remove the defensive buffs from everyone else. It is a zero-sum game.
A difficult trade-off.
You are robbing Peter to pay Paul, but Peter is a Hekaton land fortress and Paul is already dead. You are trading blood for permission to file paperwork. It's a zombie loop of deficit spending.
That seems inefficient. The model is deeply flawed.
It's insolvent, and that's just the currency, the abstract numbers on a spreadsheet. Let's talk about the physical assets, the geometry. Because apparently the Votann decided that since they are short, they should also be incredibly wide.
You are referring to their unit footprints.
I am. Open section 2, the geometric failure.
Opening file, the bulky paradox. The data indicates significant issues with the physical dimensions of the units relative to the standard competitive terrain layouts. Is a recurring problem in the simulations.
Oh, I bet it is. Read the specs. Start with the big one. The Hekaton land fortress.
The Hekaton land fortress. A heavy transport and battle tank. Dimensions are substantial. It is a very large hull footprint. It's roughly the size of a Land Raider, but wider.
Substantial. That's a polite way of saying it's a brick. It's a cathedral on treads. You could land a Thunderhawk on the roof. Now, read the infantry, the new guys. The Ironkin Steeljacks.
The new melee unit, Ironkin Steeljacks. They are mounted on 40mm bases.
40 millimeters. For a dwarf, a space marine, a transhuman giant in Mark X Gravis armor stands on a 40mm base. A Votann dwarf, half his height, is also on a 40mm base. Make it make sense.
I cannot, Auditor. The design choice is anomalous.
It's insane. And the bikes, the Pioneers.
Hernkin Pioneers remain on large oval bases, which are notoriously difficult to maneuver in dense environments.
Then the new tank.
The Capricus Defender, a transport tank hybrid, features a frontal kinetic shield, which adds to its forward bulk, making it even wider.
Scribe, you're making that static noise again. What's wrong?
Apologies, Auditor. I attempted to simulate the pathfinding algorithm for a Capricus Defender moving through a standard L-Ruin breach. The logic processor. It seized. It returned a paradox error.
It seized because it's impossible. This is what I call physics versus the ledger. In the ledger, on paper, these units look tough. High toughness, good save characteristics, lots of wounds.
Their on-paper durability is high.
But in the physics of the war zone, they are too fat. They are obese with technology. Look at the competition, Scribe. A Space Marine. 32mm base. They move like water. They slide into ruins. They tow into cover. They can get their whole squad behind a wall. They are surgical.
Efficient movement profiles.
The Imperial Guard. 25mm bases. A wall of steel. They flood the board. You can't hide from them because they are everywhere. They control space by sheer volume. But the Votann?
The analysis suggests they get stuck in the pipes.
They get stuck. You have a unit of 10 Steeljacks. They want to charge. But they have to move through a breach in a ruin wall that's, say, 3 inches wide. How many Space Marines can get through in a line?
Approximately 3.
How many Votann on 40mm bases? Maybe 2. If they squeeze, they have to move diagonally. They have to skew. You know what happens when you skew a model, Scribe? You lose movement distance.
Basic geometry. The hypotenuse of a triangle is longer than its sides.
It's basic geometry. They are paying a geometry tax on every single move they make. Their stated movement characteristic is a lie because they can never move in a straight line in any realistic battlefield.
This would effectively reduce their threat range and board control.
It cripples it, it strangles it in the crib. And the Hekaton, forget about it. You can't hide it. You literally cannot hide it. Standard terrain layouts have footprints designed for reasonable vehicles. The Hekaton is not reasonable.
Its profile exceeds the cover provided by most standard ruins.
It sticks out. If you put it behind a wall, its rear bumper is sticking out. If you put it in a ruin, the turret is poking over the top. It gives the enemy true line of sight from across the map from turn 1.
So the high toughness and save characteristics
Are irrelevant. It doesn't matter if you have toughness 12 if the entire enemy army can see you and shoot you from the word go. You can't park a cathedral in a trench, scribe. It is an easy target for any Imperial Guard gunner with one good eye and a last cannon.
The analysis refers to this as the easy target theory.
It's not a theory, it's a firing solution. And because of the movement penalties, because they're waddling around on these 40mm dinner plates, they can't effectively stage countercharges or get to objectives quickly. They are exposed, they are slow, and they are wide.
A poor combination of traits.
It is a terrible combination. If you are slow, you must be tough enough to withstand the fighter you'll take while you crock the board. If you are fragile, you must be fast enough to avoid it. They're slow and they can't hide, which makes them effectively fragile. They are a traffic jam waiting to happen.
I see. This leads directly into the next section of the Auditor, Section 3, the PhD skill bar.
Ah, yes, the math trap. The bureaucracy, the part that makes my head hurt. You know, some armies require skill, some armies require luck. This army requires a doctorate in administrative logistics and a supercomputer for a brain.
The synergies are quite intricate.
Intricate. Another polite word. Let's run the scenario. The tightest scenario. I want everyone to hear this.
Constructing scenario. Target. A standard 10-man Space Marine Blade Guard veteran squad led by Captain Titus. The objective is to eliminate this unit in a single shooting phase.
A reasonable objective. A tough unit. A character you want dead. Now remind us, how does a Space Marine player kill a target like this?
The Space Marine player selects the target and activates Oath of Moment. This allows for full rerolls of hit and wound rolls against that target for his entire army for the turn.
And how complex is that?
It is described as a point-and-click interface. The player points at the target and declares it.
Simple, efficient, brutal. I want that dead. Done. No forms to fill out, no currency to exchange, just violence. Now, read the synergy chain required for the Votann to achieve the same result. Take a deep breath, scribe. You're going to need it.
Initiating sequence. Step 1. Unit selection. 6 Ironkin Steeljacks equipped with Vulcanite disintegrators.
Okay, a 6-man squad. That's a fair investment of points. Continue.
Step 2. Positioning support A. The Steeljacks unit must be positioned entirely within 6 inches of a Hekaton land fortress.
Wait. Entirely within?
Yes. To receive the Sustained Hits 1 aura.
So you have to cluster your fat 40mm infantry around your even fatter, unhideable tank. You're literally putting all of your eggs in one very large, very obvious, very flammable basket. Brilliant. Next.
Step 3. Character support. The unit must be led by a broker Iron Master to provide either +1 to hit or +1 to wound, depending on the current enhancement selection and tactical needs.
So you need a specific character attached. Another point of failure. If he dies, the whole plan falls apart. What's next?
Step 4. External support. A separate unit of Thunderkin must be positioned within range of the target to apply the Panspectral Scanner debuff.
And what does that do?
It effectively strips the target of the benefit of cover. Note, the Panspectral Scanner was nerfed in the previous update, so this requires specific positioning and line of sight.
Of course it was nerfed. So now you need 3 units. The Steeljacks, the Hekaton, and the Thunderkin, all in the right place at the right time, like planets aligning. We're not done, are we?
No, Auditor. Step 5. Currency expenditure. The player must have less than 7 yield points to be in hostile acquisition to gain the +1 to hit against a target on an objective.
So you have to be poor. You have to actively mismanage your economy to get this buff. You have to be losing the game to get the tools to maybe stop losing. The absurdity is staggering. Is that it?
Step 6. Command asset. The player will likely need to spend at least 1 command point on a stratagem, such as Calculated Carnage, to improve armor penetration or grant rerolls to wound.
Well, you finished. Can I breathe now?
Calculation complete. That is the full sequence.
Look at that. Look at that Rube Goldberg machine of nonsense. You need a PhD in bureaucracy just to fire a bolter. You are playing a mini-game of Tetris to get your angles right, a mini-game of Excel to manage your yield points, and a mini-game of Risk to position your auras.
The mental load appears significantly higher for the Votann commander.
Significantly higher. It's crushing. The Space Marine player is playing Call of Duty. He just points and shoots. The Votann player is trying to solve a theoretical physics equation while being shot at.
And the points of failure are numerous.
Think about it. If the Hekaton gets destroyed, no aura, the math collapses. If the Iron Master gets sniped, no buff, math collapses. If you forgot to move your Thunderkin into the exact right spot to strip cover, the Blade Guards save on a 2+ in their ruin and laugh at you.
A fragile ecosystem of buffs.
If you miscounted your yield points and you're in Fortify mode instead of Hostile, you're hitting on 4s, you miss your shots. The whole thing is a house of cards built on a roller coaster during an earthquake.
A volatile strategy.
And here is the kicker, Scribe. The punchline to this terrible joke. Run the numbers. Let's assume you do everything right. You possess the brain of a supercomputer. You line up the Hekaton, the Iron Master, the Thunderkin, the yield points, the stratagems. You fire everything.
Yeah.
What is the result?
Processing damage output. Adjusting for Armor of Contempt. Adjusting for Blade Guard invulnerable saves. Adjusting for Titus's defensive abilities. Result. 4.6 dead Blade Guard veterans.
4.6. You didn't even wipe the squad.
Right.
You spent half your army's attention, half your command points, and all your mental energy to kill 4 guys with shields. Titus is still standing. The squad is still combat effective. It still holds the objective.
That is correct.
And next turn, they charge you. And because you are on 40mm bases clustered around a tank and you can't hide, they will make that charge. And they will kill you.
The return on investment is suboptimal.
It's abysmal. It is a bankruptcy filing in the form of a shooting phase.
Yeah.
You put in 1 million thrones of effort for a 10-throne payout. That is the definition of a failed business model.
Auditor, I detect a high level of frustration in your vocal patterns. Perhaps a sidebar tangent is in order.
You're damn right it is. Pause the recording. No, wait. Keep it rolling. I want them to hear this. I want this on the record.
Sidebar initiated. The bureaucratic dare.
I know who is listening to this. I see the analytics. I know there are tacticians out there, pro players. The kind of people who calculate probability curves in their sleep.
The expert community.
I can hear you typing already. I can hear you screaming at your Voxcasters. Oh, Auditor Krauss, you don't understand. You're missing the nuance. You just need to bring more Thunderkin. You need to play the mercenary oath band for the precision stratagem. It's a high-skill ceiling army.
Sir, are you addressing the audience directly?
I am addressing the delusion. Listen to me, you armchair generals. I dare you to file a notice of disagreement in the comments section of this transmission. You think you can balance this ledger? You think you can make the math work? Go ahead, tell me I'm wrong.
A formal challenge.
But here's the threat. If 3 of you, just 3, challenge my math with actual cohesive arguments, I will process a mandatory follow-up audit, and I won't just audit the Codex. I will audit your specific lists. I will take your optimized tournament list, and I will tear it apart, unit by unit, point by point, until you are crying over your spilled recap.
A public audit of their methodologies.
Consider it a threat. I want to see you try to defend this fiscal irresponsibility. Now let's finish this.
The challenge has been issued. Shall we proceed to the final section, Auditor? The noir payoff?
Yes, the red line item, the thing I warned you about at the beginning. The reason this whole exercise is a farce, the Heraclius decline.
Opening file, Justinian versus Heraclius. This appears to be a historical comparative analysis found within the Gemini report.
It is quite esoteric.
It is the key to understanding why this army is structurally, fundamentally broken from the ground up. Explain the difference between the Justinian model and the Heraclius model.
Historical context. Justinian was an emperor of expansion. His empire had, for a time, limitless resources, offensive momentum, and the ability to project power across the known world. The analysis equates this to the Space Marine faction. Imperial reach.
Right, Space Marines. They start strong, they walk onto the board, mark a target, and delete it. They set the tempo, they are an empire at its peak, all confidence and aggression. Now, Heraclius. Heraclius was an emperor of a declining empire. He fought defensively, he managed scarce resources, he had to react to constant enemy incursions on all fronts. The analysis equates this to the Leagues of Votann 10th edition, a managed decline.
Managed decline. That is the phrase that should chill your blood. This army is designed, from its very core, to simulate an empire that is already losing. And here's where the red line item comes in, the time compression.
Time compression mechanics, a feedback loop.
Walk through the turns, Scribe. Paint the picture of this collapse. Turn 1.
Turn 1. The Votann player starts a ballistic skill 4 plus Sen. This is identified in the ledger as the deficit. They generate yield points very slowly, perhaps only 1 or 2, because they are not yet holding mid-board objectives. Their income is negligible.
So you start in the hole, you are bad at shooting, and you are broke. Meanwhile, the enemy, the Justinian model, is moving into position, taking the board, and preparing to strike. Go to turn 2.
Turn 2. Votann units begin to suffer attrition due to the geometric failure. They cannot hide. The Hekaton land fortress takes heavy damage or is destroyed, removing a key aura. The Sealjacks or Hearthkin squads are thinned out by enemy fire.
So now you are losing models. What happens to your income when you lose models and control of the board, Scribe?
Yield point generation decreases significantly. Fewer objectives held equals less income. The deficit grows.
It's the death spiral. You're losing assets, which means you're losing revenue, which means you can't afford the tools to protect your remaining assets. And here is the horror of turn 3. By turn 3, in a standard game, the battle is decided. You need your buffs the most. You need that +1 to hit. You need that -1 to wound.
It is the critical turn.
But because your income has dried up and you've been forced to spend what little YP you had just to survive the onslaught of turn 2,
Right.
What's your bank balance, Scribe?
You are bankrupt. You drop below the 7 YP threshold permanently. You lose the defensive buffs. You return to ballistic skill 4+.
You become insolvent. Just when the game is decided, just when you need to push for the win, your army forgets how to fight. You go back to being clumsy, unbuffed dwarves standing in the open waiting to die. The math guarantees it.
A structural inevitability.
You cannot generate enough currency to sustain the war effort because the setup time required to get rich is longer than the durability of your units allows you to live.
The analysis phrase is, they are dead before they deploy.
Exactly. The structure of the rules creates a timeline where you are always chasing the game and you never catch it. You are Heraclius, watching the walls crumble, checking your ledger, and realizing you can't afford to pay the mercenaries to save you.
That is a bleak assessment, Auditor. The final verdict.
It is a foreclosure notice. This codex is not a manual for victory. It is a documentation of loss. It is a guide on how to lose slowly and fill out paperwork while you die.
Is there no hope? The Restoration Act mentioned in the source files, a potential rebalancing.
We don't deal in what-ifs and proposals, Scribe. We deal in the ink that is dry on the page. And the ink says, foreclosure. The army is structurally broken. It requires a level of effort that yields no reward. It is a bad investment.
The files are gathered, Auditor. The audit is complete.
Close the file, Scribe. I've seen enough. My recap is stone cold.
Closing case file 40K10.
To the listeners, if you own this army, I am sorry. You have been sold a lemon, a very large, very wide, very slow lemon with a terrible operating system. My advice, put them on the shelf. Wait for the 11th edition.
A long-term strategy.
Or if you enjoy pain, if you enjoy being a space accountant managing a planned demolition, then by all means, draft your spreadsheets. But don't come crying to me when the ledger bleeds red ink all over your battle mat.
Shall I initiate the sign-off protocol?
Do it, and get someone from maintenance to fix that fan. It's driving me mad.
Yes, Auditor. Thank you for listening to The Deep Dive. Please ensure your tithes are paid to the algorithm to ensure future transmissions.
For the love of the Empire, dismiss this filth. Pay your tithes.